Welcome to KS Learnings. Here today we learn about heterotrophic nutrition. What are heterotrophs? Heterotrophs are the organisms, other living things which cannot make their own food. They'll be depending on other organisms directly or indirectly are called heterotrophs, and the nutrition is called heterotrophic nutrition. See, organisms take the food or nutrition directly into the mouth, then digested in the body and absorb the nutrients. Is a one way of nutrition. Some organisms they digest the food outside the body and absorb the nutrients. Here we have two different types of nutrition. Saprophytic nutritions. So here generally the organisms digest the food outside, especially dead organic matter, and from that it absorbs the nutrients. So they are called saprophytes, and the nutrition is called saprophytic nutrition. So saprophytes are the organisms which feed on dead organic matter. Examples like fungi, like bread mold, yeast, mushrooms, they are the saprophytes. Let's see, parasites are the living organisms. They live on other organisms. They feed on other organisms. Like we have like plants like cuscuta. It's a plant, it's a parasitic plant which live on other plants and absorb the nutrients. Like organisms like ticks, lice, leeches and tapeworms, they are the some of the organisms. They are the parasitic, shows the parasitic nutrition. Now let's see how do organisms obtain their nutrition, especially in the amoeba. We all know that amoeba is a unicellular microorganism, so it doesn't have any particular shape. So it has its own any shape we can draw it the amoeba. So amoeba has a finger-like projections called as pseudopodia. With the help of pseudopodia, it sends the food wherever it is present and trap inside the pseudopodium and digest it with the help of food vacuole present in the amoeba. So then it will absorb the nutrients and excrete that waste material. You should remember the finger-like projections of the amoeba are called pseudopodia. It helps for the movement of the amoeba and also to trap the food particles. And food vacuole helps in digestion of the food by secreting the digestive juices. So this is a diagram that represents the nutrition in amoeba. So the nutrition shown in amoeba are the other animals. It's called a holozoic nutrition, where organisms take the food inside the body and it is digested, then further absorbed the nutrients by the body. So paramecium is also one of the unicellular organism. It has a definite specific spot through which the food is taken in the body and it get digested in the body. Instead of, yes, as we know, the paramecium has a hair-like small hair-like structures on the body called as a cilia, which helps to take the food into that particular spot. So here how in the amoeba, the pseudopodium helps to trap the food. In the paramecium, the cilia, hair-like projections or hair-like structures on the body helps to bring the food into the particular specific spot. There it get digested and the food is absorbed. Now let's see the absorption of the food or the nutrition in the human body. So human body is a complex structure. So a way we have digestive system, it consists of the alimentary canal, stomach, large intestine, small intestine, pancreas, liver. All these are involved in the digestion of food. So digestion of food in the human starts in the mouth. Your mouth consists of a saliva which consists an enzyme called as salivary amylase. The enzyme present in the saliva is salivary amylase. So it helps to convert the complex starch into a simple substance called as maltose in the mouth. A simple sugar is a maltose. So starch is breakdown in the presence of salivary amylase which convert into sugar in the mouth. So that passes into the alimentary canal, or we can call it as esophagus or the food pipe, and reaches the stomach. So it passes with the help of muscle movements called as peristaltic movement. In the stomach, The food is get digested with the help of the gastric juice produced in the stomach. The gastric juice mainly consists of mucus and hydrochloric acid. The hydrochloric acid consists, it is acidic in nature, which helps to activate the enzyme called as pepsin. The pepsin can convert proteins, it acts on the proteins. Okay, and mucus whatever produced in the with the help of gastric juice, so it protects the inner lining of the stomach from the action of acid under normal conditions. So you should remember, stomach produces a gastric juice which consists that hydrochloric acid, which is acidic in nature, which activate the enzyme called pepsin, and the mucus which is produced by in the stomach, that protects the inner lining of the stomach from the action of acid. Okay, let's see. So you more often using the term, will use or you might be listening the term called as acidity. What is meant by acidity? A burning sensation that produces in the stomach is called as acidity. So generally acidity is produced due to excess secretion of hydrochloric acid in the stomach. So when we take a junk food or we are not maintaining proper healthy diet, that produces the excess HCl that causes burning sensation and damages the inner lining of the stomach. So acidity can be neutralized by taking the antacids, like generally people uses eno. Eno is an antacid which acts against acid and neutralizes the acidity in the stomach. See here, after food get digested in the stomach, it passes through the small intestine. It is the largest part of the entire digestive system in the human body. Okay, so generally when we consider a small intestine, it's the largest part of the digestive system. It consists, when we consider, herbivores have generally a longer, smaller intestine compared to the carnivores. We know herbivores are the grass eating animals. So grass eating animals, the grass consists the cellulose. To digest the cellulose, it takes a longer time. That's the reason they have a longer small intestine. Carnivores generally eat the meat that get digested easily. They have a smaller intestine. Small intestine length is small. So this can be asked like a give reason question. Why herbivores have a longer small intestine and the carnivores have a shorter small intestine? The answer is herbivores are grass eating animals. So it consists the cellulose. It requires a longer time to digest. Whereas carnivores are the meat eating animals. So meat can be easily digested. That's the reason they have short small intestine. Keep in mind. Okay, so we know liver and pancreas, these two also part of the digestive system. They produces the digestive juices that helps in digestion of the food. So liver produces the juice called as bile juice, which is alkaline in nature. So it is very essential to activate the pancreatic enzymes, the enzymes produced by pancreas that activate in the presence of bile juice, alkaline condition. So bile juice helps in emulsification of the fat. It breaks down the larger fat particles into a small particles of the fat called as emulsification. Okay, and pancreas produces the pancreatic juice, which consists the enzymes called as trypsin and lipase. So trypsin helps in digestion of the proteins and lipase helps in digestion of the fats. You should remember here the function of the trypsin, lipase and bile juice. Bile juice helps in emulsification of the fats. Trypsin helps in digestion of the proteins and lipase helps in digestion of fats. Here there will be a question asked, how fats are get digested in the small intestine. So answer would be small intestine connected to the pancreas and the liver. So liver produces the bile juice which helps the convert that fat, the larger fat molecules into small fat molecules called as emulsification. The emulsified fat further converts into fatty acid and the glycerol in the presence of lipase enzyme produced by the pancreatic juice. That's how the complex fat is converted into absorbable fatty acid and the glycerol in the body. Okay, so here you should remember the action of the enzymes, especially trypsin, lipase, bile juice. It's not an enzyme which doesn't contain any enzymes. It helps in emulsification of the fats. See, so after digestion of the food in the small intestine, the fate of the nutrients we know that carbohydrates, mainly proteins and fats. The carbohydrates are finally converted into glucose in the body, and the proteins are converted into amino acids, and fats converted into fatty acids and the glycerol. The fate of nutrients here you should remember: carbohydrates, final products are glucose, proteins are converting into amino acids, fats are converting into fatty acids and the glucose. The food which is digested after in the small intestine, you should remember one more thing here: the entire nutrient, the entire digestion takes place in the digestion of the nutrients mostly takes place in the small intestine. Small intestine involves in the digestion of the carbohydrates, complete digestion of the carbohydrates, proteins, fats, all takes place in the small intestine. So small intestine has a finger like projections which are called as villi. So villi is formed to increase the large surface area. When the surface area increases, it helps in absorbing the nutrients very easily. Here is a question: why small intestine has a small finger-like projections? So small intestine is folded into many finger-like projections called as villi, which provide the large surface area that helps to absorb the nutrients. So this is what the answer for the question. So after digestion of the food in the small intestine that enters into the larger intestine, there is no digestion takes place in the large intestine. The excess water whatever present in the digested food will be absorbed in the large intestine, and the waste will be sent into the anus. From there it will be further excretion takes place. So we might have heard about dental caries, nothing but dental problems, or we can say cavities in the tooth. So generally after eating the food, so some of the food particles get stuck in the teeth. However, you just do clean your teeth, but still some small particles get stuck in between the teeth. So there will be so many microorganisms in the mouth, especially bacteria, that act on the food particles and produces an acid. So this acid has ability to soften or to dissolve the enamel which protects our teeth, that causes tooth decay or tooth cavities. So to prevent the tooth decay or tooth cavities, we should clean our mouth very cleanly, or we will use a toothpaste that is a basic in nature actually, that neutralizes the acidity of the mouth which is produced due to bacterial action in the mouth.